So lots of students ask me, what is Th-Aat? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and a very warm welcome to the second episode, number 2 of Arabic in 60 Steps Extras. In this little series, we just go through some little hiccups that some of the students have along the way, some things for me to provide as little supplementary resources for the students if you need to practice something a bit more, or if there's something common that students miss as they go through the program. We'll fill in those gaps a little bit with this series too. So the feminine plural is what we're going to talk about, and the way we do it is with this long at. So I want to talk about some of the common mistakes that students make and that you might be making as well. And in this video, we'll just kind of iron those out, and you will learn how to make the feminine plural in Arabic and some of the things to avoid. So let's get on with it. Let me bring you over to my little screen over here. Okay, so this at, that is what goes on the end of feminine plurals, but let me show you where the mistake actually comes from. So we have a few exercises in the bonus resources for the Arabic in 60 Steps program, where students need to translate some adjectives that describe groups of girls, for example, beautiful girls or small women or something like that. And I'll talk you through what usually happens. Okay, so for example, if we're going to say something like this, if we're going to translate this together, let's say beautiful girls. Okay, so most of the students are very familiar with the idea that we put the noun before the adjective, we put the bint before the girls, so we're going to say girls beautiful. That's how we're going to do it. So let's put our girls, okay? We need our banat on, we need our banat, but then with the word beautiful. So the word beautiful is in the vocab list for step 1. There's no vocab surprises. So what is it? It is the word jamil. Okay, don't write this down yet. Okay, I'm going to highlight it. Don't write jamil yet, we're not finished with it. So jamil. We know that we make it plural. We know it's girls, so we need it to be plural. So what ends up happening is students put this in the plural, jumala'u, and then they remember, oh, Sam told us to put a ta' marbuta on the end. And we have jumala'u, jumala'atun, okay? So this is an error, okay? What the jumala'u is the masculine plural. When you have the broken plurals in the vocab lists, what I'm giving you is the masculine plural. The feminine plural, here's the good news, is way easier. The feminine plural is way easier and far less common as well, actually. A reason why perhaps we don't emphasize it so much in those early steps is because it's not so common. We only ever use the feminine plural for groups of solely female humans. Because if it were a group of men and women, we'd use the masculine plural, okay? So it ends up not being so common. The most common is probably the feminine singular, because we use that for girls, of course, in the singular, but we also use it for non-human plurals. So the feminine singular actually ends up being very common. Anyway, so if we don't do that, usually if you imagine a grid of the words for jamil, okay, let me do one. Okay, so imagine this. Okay, we've got jamilun in the masculine. Got jamilun in the masculine. And let's put jamilun in the feminine. So it wouldn't be jamilun in the feminine, jamilatun in the feminine. We learn how to do that in step 1. Nice and easy. We learn, so if we're gonna think about that, and how do we go from the feminine plural? We learn this bit, we learn this plural in step 1, right? Obviously without the ta' marbuta on the end. Jumala'u. We learn that, that's the masculine plural. But the place where students usually get confused with is when we get the feminine plural, do we take jamilatun and try to put it into some kind of plural pattern, or do we take jumala'u and make it feminine? Well, the answer is closer to the former. It's closer to the first one. We take our jamila and we change that ta' marbuta on the end. We change that ta' marbuta on the end to an atun. We say, what is that-un? And we turn it into an elif and a ta. So we just stretch the sound out to make it plural. As we expand the group of women, we expand the sound of the atun to atun. So if I can come up to here, I'll bring your attention back up to here, and we're going to correct this. We can't say jamilatun, we can't say banatun, jamilatun. We say banatun, jamilatun. So let's stick that in there, jamilatun. Banatun, jamilatun. So if we apply that to some other adjectives that you might have, if we'd say beautiful Arab girls, okay, for example, banatun jamilatun, and then we need the term Arabi, and we would perhaps say Arabiyatun, Arabiyatun. Okay, they are Arab, beautiful Arab girls, right? Or if we'd say small, صغير, صغيرات, بنات جميلات صغيرات. That's a better example actually, because that's actually what we use in the program. The word عربية isn't learned until step 2. So maybe for those of you on step 1, this is the more appropriate example. So that's what we do, okay? That's just a little summary of how we end up with our ton endings. Because as I say, like as we, in the vocab lists, I give you the masculine singular and the masculine plural. We have those with any noun I give you in the whole Arabic in 60 Steps program. I always give the plurals, even if they're not very common ones. You know, I'm a person who, when I was learning Arabic, I just liked to know the plurals. Like when you learn a noun, it's cool to know what the plural is with it. So yeah, so I always do that, even for words that aren't especially common. Like for example, the word qamar, meaning moon. I put the word aqmar, meaning moons, right? Like unless you're a student of ours who lives on Jupiter, then you probably live on a planet with one qamar. So it's very unlikely that that you need the term aqmar. And even the plural for the word shams, which is shumus, suns. I mean, I don't know how a planet could have more than one sun. Like by definition, a planet goes round a sun, like by definition, right? So unless it's doing like a figure of 8 thing around 2 suns, I don't know how it could have multiple suns anyway. But if Arabic has the word, I think it's nice for students to be aware of it. So we'll always give you the plural, and then we equip you with the way of making the singular into the feminine, right? By putting a tet marbuta on the end. Most of the time that serves you well. But you know, maybe we need some more practice on how we actually end up with the feminine plural. So I'm hoping that this video serves that purpose, inshallah. So that's everything for this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like and share the Arabic in 60 Steps YouTube channel as well. That goes a really long way. See you guys in the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.